Welcome to my most requested video, my 2023 Google Ads guide for contractors and construction companies. Even if you've never ran a Google Ads campaign in your life, this step-by-step guide will show you the ins and outs on how to set up an ultra-successful Google Ads search campaign for your contracting or construction company. And for the pros among us who run Google Ad campaigns day in and day out, this will be a treasure trove for you on how I've been able to be ultra successful with Google Ad campaigns for contractors and construction companies for the past 16, 17 years. I probably managed conservatively, and I've tried to work this out 5 minutes before starting the video, in excess of $14 million over that time. It has to be more than that because I've worked with companies that have spent more than $1 million in 1 year. So I'm just conservatively estimating that it's around 14 million. And in that time, I've tested a lot of things that have been ultra successful. And on the other hand, I have tested a lot of things that have been epic failures. But I've been able to learn from both my winners and my losers. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to condense all of the things that I've found to be very successful and all the things that I've found not to be successful. And I'm going to share with you all of that in this video. I'm going to show you exactly how to set up a successful Google search campaign. So without any further waffling on, let's jump into a Google Ads account and let's set one up. Okay, first things being first, how do you make a crap ton of money with Google Ads? The first thing that you can do is to smash the subscribe button and the like button. What that does is gives you access to all the free material that I produce, hopefully weekly. I'm not the greatest because I'm introverted, so smashing that like button, smashing that subscribe button helps me a lot more than the people that are cut out for this influencer career. I am not cut out for this, and the less said about that, the better. But let's move on into the theory stuff. Now, everyone wants to skip this part. If you do, you will make less money than if you were to stick with it. The reason being is that I audit roughly about 300 campaigns per year, and I've done thousands upon thousands, maybe over 10,000 in my career. And this theory stuff, albeit it might take 5 minutes, it will be single-handedly the best thing that you do today and probably for the year in relation to your Google Ads campaigns. It is because structure and being able to set up the correct structure is the biggest problem that I see. Now, I'm going to show you 2 images on how to set up the correct structure. Now, I'm going to show you 2 because in my previous videos, when I've done my 2023 breakdowns, people always reach out to me and say, can you have a free look at my campaign? And sure, I'll have a look for you. If people want to work with me, great. If they don't, great. I'll still look at your campaign. Now, this is the problem, is people watch my videos and they still mess up the structure. So I've got 2 images. Now, the first thing being first is that we're a home builder in this hypothetical setup. Now, what we're doing is the campaign is around being a home builder. Now, the first things that we want to consider is location and bidding. Now, I'm going to talk about bidding later on in this video. Incredibly important, and again, something people botch up all of the time. But first thing is the location. Now, I'm going to talk about specifically the location targeting, but you want to target the areas where you conduct your service. The geographic areas in which you serve are the areas that you target. Now, all the ways that you can do that targeting and all the ways you can exclude people, I'm going to talk about later in the video. Now, moving through to bidding. Now, bidding is still done at the campaign level, and it can be done at the ad group level. We'll talk about that a little bit later too, but it's still important. These are the structures. I'm just trying to get the clear hierarchy in terms of how Google Ads are structured and hopefully correctly. Now, when we get to ad groups, we have custom home builder. We have custom home builder near me. We might want to treat those differently, right? Because the people who are looking at custom home builder, they might be just a little bit different to the ones that, that are searching near me. Now, we can have a look at that. This is getting into the optimization, potentially another video, but click-through rates, conversion rates, cost per clicks can be different between these two, right? And we might want to have a look at search impression share, and we want to pay all that fun stuff. We've also got a home builder DSA. Now, these are the types of, the home builder DSA should be in its own campaign, but I'm throwing it in here because people get confused about it. So I'm just like lumping it in. It's not perfect, this kind of diagram, because there's all subtle nuances when it comes to Google Ads. But what we want to do is make sure that we have a clear structure about our ad groups. We want to make sure that Our ad groups are relevant to the keywords and are relevant to the ads. And I've got a better image about that in just a moment. Now, we want to have related keywords to our ad groups, just like this. So custom home builder, custom home builder. We've got custom home builder near me, custom home builder near me. Now, that doesn't mean that we want one keyword per ad group. That is not the case whatsoever. Now, with updates that have happened over the last 12 to 24 months with Google, we definitely want to move away from that SKAG, right? Single keyword ad groups, right? And what back in the day, a little bit of a history lesson was people did that because they could really closely structure their campaign at a very granular level to have very clear-cut bidding at the keyword level, but also have very relevant ads to that keyword, right? So you'd have these massive keyword and ad group structures, right? I've seen accounts and I've managed accounts with hundreds of ad groups, and each of them have one keyword. And thankfully, we don't have to do that anymore. We've moved to more of a STAG, right? Single themed ad group, right? So when you have keywords that are very much themed the same way, now this custom home builder is not the best example, but we're going to move into another one in just hopefully 9 seconds, is that when you can write a better ad for a particular keyword, you want to move that keyword into a new ad group. The reason being is that you'll get better click-through rate, you'll get better quality scores, which will lower your cost per click, which will lower your cost per lead, but you'll also get into more auctions, means you'll get higher search impression share, you'll make more money, right? Very, very important, right? And I'm ripping through this structure because this is going to be a longer video, but if someone wants a better breakdown, a more thorough breakdown of structures, watch the whole lot of this video because I'm going to actually build the structure, right? But reach out to me in the YouTube comment section because I might be able to, dedicate a video specifically to structures and the theories of structures. Moving on, we've got negative keywords here, right? Now, when it comes to negatives, we want to stop wasting spend on keywords that we do not want to be associated with, that we do not want to show ads to, right? This is very much like capital allocation. We want to spend money where we make money, and we want to spend less money where we don't make money or stop it altogether. And we can do that with negative keywords. Now, with the search campaigns and DSA campaigns, we don't want to show brand, right? You don't want to show, the name of your business. If you have a trademark product or a trademark service, you don't want to be having any of those keywords in these campaigns. You want to have very much a brand specific campaign. And again, if you want me to do a video on brand specific campaigns, hit me up in the YouTube comment section below. Now, when it comes down to the ads, now I haven't updated this image in a little while and it's a little bit old. So let's just imagine that ETAs aren't here and we've just got two RSAs, responsive search ads, right? Now, with the headlines, so you can have multiple different headlines and Google will pull and pick which ones they feel are most applicable to the prospect and also most applicable to the search query. It makes their job a little bit easier and a little bit harder at the same time. And we'll talk about all that fun stuff a little bit later. With the DSA, we want 2 DSA ads. Really, really simple. Now, with our search campaigns, we want to use observation only. We'll get into that too. But this, I'm not going to get into the remarketing stuff, but it's all that fun, all kind of fun stuff. But this is the overall, the technical structure, right? It's not super fun to learn about, but it's still really important. Let's move on to something a little bit more fun, because people get this wrong. They lose a lot of money. If they get it right, hey, they make a lot of money. All right, now we've got this image, right? Now this kind of gives us the theory of how structures work within the Google Ads platform. Now, what we have here is we have campaign. Hypothetically, we're doing an artificial grass company, right? They're contractors too. And we've got one ad group that's around artificial grass. Now we've got another ad group around artificial grass for dogs. Now the reason we want to split those up, because we can have ads that are more specific to general artificial grass people, and we can have ads very specific to the dog related artificial grass people, right? So in our ads, we might be saying, hey, we have the best grass for artificial grass for dogs. In the other one, we might be referencing front yards and backyards, right? Much more general. We're not talking about dogs. We're not talking about kids and stuff like that, right? And in our ad group, we'll have artificial grass near me, artificial grass insulation. These are just to try and get the wheels spinning in your mind about how you might want to set up your own ad campaign here. Now for dogs, we'll have dog related, so artificial grass for dogs, backyard artificial grass for dogs, artificial grass for pets. And we might want to move pets into its own ad group, but hey, we're just starting, so let's put it in the one ad group because we can get a little bit more data for our ads and stuff, and we can kind of like slither that out and move it into its own ad group later on down the track if that search term, hey, starts bringing us conversions. We want to start getting more volume into that keyword. And hey, there is a little bit of a spelling mistake. Pipettes. I don't know what I've tried to spell there. That's the joys of using Drag and Dictate, the voice to text recognition software. It's not always perfect. AI needs to come and help us with that. Needs to help me with that at least. My graphic designer could have done me a little bit of a favor and fix that, but hey, good help is hard to find. And he also does my video editing, so shout out to you, Baz. You'll enjoy that. Now, ad copy. Now, this is where this isn't really ad copy, but I'm just trying to reiterate the point because now we've got the artificial grass ad group, we've got the artificial grass general keywords, and we've got ad copy that relates generally to the keywords above it. Now, also what we're going to do is send that to a landing page that is more general around about artificial grass. Now, with our pet related people, now what we want to do with those is send them to show them an ad that is dog related, right? Because it makes sense. They're making dog artificial grass related queries. And now we want to build a landing page for them that is specifically about artificial grass relating to dogs, right? Now, this is the boring theory stuff that I see wrong in maybe 30, 40, maybe even 50%. I've never really done the numbers of accounts that I audit that get this wrong. So if you get this right, you're probably in the top like 20, 30%, even though it sounds elementary, right? So with that being said, let's go and build a campaign. All right, here we are in Google Ads, and I have just got a dummy campaign already built, and we are in a dummy Google Ads account. So let's smash the create button. Now we click new campaign and we come here and we will hide because there is a little bit of an error with this account because no ads ever run in this account. Now, what we have here is we want to choose our objective. We have multiple objectives to choose from. We have sales, leads. Now, those are the most common that I tend to work with. Website traffic, not so much nowadays. It's traffic doesn't earn you any money, right? So we don't want to optimize for clicks or traffic too much. We'll come back to that. I'm going to make a little bit of a fool of myself a little bit later on when we talk about bidding, but nonetheless, I've been fooled many times before, and I will be in the future. I don't tackle brand awareness, app promotion, local shop visits, and sometimes when I'm building YouTube campaigns, I do build one without goal guidance. So we click sales or leads. The reason being is it helps Google know what we want to talk about, what game we want to play in terms of the objective of our campaign. Very much like leads and sales, obviously, right? But what it does is it kind of tells Google at the machine learning level, hey, that I'm optimizing for leads can use all of your data in your huge data set, both first party and third party, to optimize the performance of my campaign. Now, what we want to do is really make sure that you have conversion tracking set up, because what isn't measured cannot be optimized. And if you aren't measuring your conversions, you are doing something incredibly dumb, right? You are spending money and you do not know where leads are coming from if you are generating them, right? It is Google Ads suicide not to have conversion tracking set up. Potentially another video. Things have changed over the last couple of years, right? So if you want to Google, how to set up conversion tracking within Google Ads, hit me up in the YouTube section below, comment section below, and I'll make a video for that too. Right, now here you can deselect if you don't want to measure a certain lead, right? And there's a whole bunch of different types of leads. Again, something for another video. Now we press continue. Now this is where we select the campaign type. Now I can do videos for all of these other kind of platforms here, right? We've got performance, Mac display, shopping, video, discovery, etc. But we're going to smash the search button because this is a Google Ads search campaign. Now, the ways that you'd like to reach your goal. Now, well, it says reach your goal, right? So these are kind of like the micro conversions that you want to get. So, hey, we're going to go with website visits. We're going to go with phone calls, and we're going to go with lead form submissions. All right, now if you've watched any of my previous Google Ad tutorial videos, you know I always pick on some random business, and this business today is going to be our guinea pig, and it is called What is it called? It is called Australian Outdoor Living. I'm in Australia at the moment. I do float 50% back and forth in the United States at the moment, which is not all that fun, but nonetheless. So we're going to pick on these guys for no good reason other than I'm going to stick with the artificial grass theme because I feel like later in the video, it will help you wrap your head around what the hell I'm talking about when it comes to structures and stuff like that. So because they're an Australian business, we have to select the location of the phone number, and we're going to actually use their phone number, which is a 1300 number. I'm just going to have to type it in. So 1300 13 13 49. So 1300 13 13 49 is our fantastic phone number. We also, and I've mentioned this already, but lead form submissions, and we're going to name our campaign. All right, now naming conventions might not seem the most important thing, and they are not, but when you deal with tons of campaigns like me, it is something that is a little bit near and dear to my heart. So I recommend naming it the service, the area that you're targeting, the network, and the bidding strategy. Just means that if you have an employee take over their campaign, or you have an agency, or you have, hell, even me, at least I know what the hell is going on in the campaigns when I first have a look, or the next person does, right? So, or even yourself, if you only check them once a month, you're thinking, what the hell? Well, what was I doing here again? Just makes it easy, right? So you have to follow this exact naming convention, but it does help. So I'm actually going to call the campaign this, just for the sake of the video, because it'll just make it easier and hopefully reiterate what you should name your campaigns. All right, now we move to the fun stuff. Now my video is always a little bit long because I prefer to give you the subtle nuances and a little bit extracurricular information to help your campaigns do a lot better. Now this is going to be one of those instances. And when it comes to bidding, it is a little bit complicated and it's very simple at the same time. Now, if you're a new account, I recommend a brand new account, right? You never ran ads. I recommend maximize clicks, right? The reason is you have no data. You have no conversion data coming into your Google Ads account. So what would Google know about optimizing and helping you get conversions? Nothing, right? So start with clicks. Now you can set a maximum cost per click. Now I recommend doing this sometimes and I recommend not doing this sometimes. Now, if you are in a very expensive cost per click market, such as roofing, such as like artificial grass is getting up there, a lot of people are getting, a lot of industries are getting up there, right? If you're in like a super emergency based kind of service like roofing, basement flood repair and stuff like that, right? I would recommend having a maximum cost per click. What is it? I don't know what it should be because it'll change depending upon where you live and what your particular service is. So I can't really help you there, unfortunately, but you might want to set one. Now, if you're in a non-emergency service or you're running a Google Ads campaign where you don't have a high budget, right? You might want to not set a maximum cost per click, which I know sounds a little bit contradictory, but Google will actually do a decent job of maximizing your budget if you're lower than the threshold, right? Like let's say that you can spend $1,000 a day in like your market size, but you only got a budget of, let's say 200, right? You can not set a maximum cost per click and Google will try and get the maximum out of that budget. On the flip side though, if that you do have a big budget and you have more than enough to spend, you've got up to $1,500 to spend per day, right? And you can only spend $1,000, I would send a maximum cost per click because boy, oh boy, Google will see that $1,500 and be like, wham, bam, thank you, man, give me that money. And they will raise your cost, well, not raise your cost per click, but they will charge you a high cost per click in a roundabout way. We won't dig into the math, but they're not doing it as blatantly as that. But just due to like get with quality score and ad rank and factors like that, they can, appear to charge you a higher cost per click, which is not really desirable. So I recommend sending a cost per click target when, if that, fits your situation. Now, if you're a seasoned campaign, right, let's say you've been running for, 6+ months and you've got hundreds, if not thousands of conversions in your campaigns and you've got, let's say 50+ conversions in the 30-day period, I recommend starting your new campaign with conversions because Google will utilize that account data and help optimize from the start. And isn't that helpful? So I recommend doing that. Now, it can be a little bit nerve-wracking because there will be a transitional period where you go from maximized clicks over to conversions, and boy, oh boy, it is not a lot of fun, right? Everyone thinks, oh, geez, look at the cost per click, it's gone through the roof, and the cost per conversions could go up. But there is a transitional period. Google recommends you need roughly 20, 30 conversions in a month. I think you need closer to 50. My personal preference, more conversion data, Google's going to do better. So when you hit somewhere between that 30 and 50 conversions in a 30-day period, you want to flip over to conversions, right? Now, you wouldn't do that here, right? But let's say for the sake of this video, hey, we're moving over. Now, I recommend starting, or when you flip over, you'll have like an average like cost per conversion. Let's say it's $100 to keep the numbers round. We want to set maybe like 10%, 15%, maybe even 20% higher. So we'll set a cost per action target of $120. The reason is we do not want to throttle the bidding, right? We let that run for a week, maybe 2, and then we start to work our way down to the conversion goal that we want. The reason, and we do not want large swings, right? This is a huge bidding strategy management boo-boo that a lot of people make. So they go, hey, like Bren said, I'm averaging $100 conversions, bump it up to 120, and it's like, we've been here for 2 weeks. Now let's go down to 60. No. Too big of a jump, right? The reason being is that Google has been learning on how to get conversions in and around that $120 mark, and it's analyzing its data in order to achieve that goal. And we want to incrementally bring it down. And roughly, I'd like to bring it down at roughly every like 10 to 15 conversions, right? Bring it down by about 10, maybe at the real aggressive level, 20%. But I think smaller jumps are better, right? We're in this business for the long game anyway. So if you incrementally move it down, we're not going to start throwing crazy stuff into the river and poison, all our history down the line, right? Not the greatest analogy there, but in a weird way, it made sense to me. So we will just skip through that like that was never said. But that's how I approach it. That is what is successful. The Google reps don't like it a lot, but the less that we listen to them, the better anyway. But that's what I like to run with. So let's hypothetically say we've got a good campaign, a good account running, we've got history, so we're going to set a cost per click of 100. Now, moving into the networks. Don't see this as often, which is a great thing, but probably prior to 12, 18 months ago, I still see it now, but we do not want the display network, right? Display is a separate beast, and we want to just throw it away. I'll make another video if people want to learn more about the display network, right? But we want to evaluate the search network, maybe the search partners, in just its isolated environment. I personally like to start with Google Search Partners off, right, to start with, because I want to evaluate the Google search ads in and of themselves. If I need scale, I'll add search partners, but search partners can be a little bit weird at times. And I just don't like starting with it. If I need to squeeze more juice out of the lemon, I'll add it later, but I can always like remove it. But once it's added, you don't get that much data with it. I just don't like it. Now, when it comes to locations, and we spoke about this earlier, there are plenty of cool ways to target the locations that you want. And there's some things that you might want to do about excluding some locations, right? So let's talk about how we can target our locations. Now, first things being first, we want to select the presence. So we want people regularly in. This one here is a little bit nasty. I don't like it. It generally is detrimental performance. So I'm just making sure that I click that one first because I feel like people are getting better. My general feel about people in Google Ads is that they, more often than not, maybe 70-30, click this, which is great. Now we've got location options, and we deselect that. We want to enter another location, and we'll go to the advanced search. We have tons of ways to target here. So we can target by a postcode, right? So this is not working all that great. So we will go Sydney, right? So I do know in Sydney we have the postcode here, right? So we've got Sydney. So we can target this area, and we can target by postcode, and we can get the data per postcode, right? Which is kind of cool, and we can optimize from that, right? So let's see if we can pick up like let's say we got Annandale. Let's say Potts Point. It's probably a little bit easier to type, and let's say right. So we can target through that way. So we can find suburbs, and we can target them very, very similar, and it's still the what would you say, postcode level, right? Now, if we wanted Sydney, because it's a larger area, we can target Sydney, right? And it will target, and we will still have our postcode targeting still laid in. Is there an overlap? Yes, there's an overlap. It will give us data both on Sydney at the overarching level, but we'll also get data at the postcode level. Should you add both? Not really, right? So that's one particular option. Now, next option we have is we've got, like, I think we can, yes, we can sub-cities, right? So we've got Parramatta, which is in Sydney. Now, I know a lot of people in America are going, what the hell, where are all these places? I'm in Australia at the moment, but hey, not knowing these cities makes it easier to learn the principle that I'm trying to say. Now, so we've got the regions, and we've got the cities, we also got regions. So for you guys in the United States, you can target by county, right? So we've got, let's say, Orange County. I know everyone's cringing, going, Bren, did you really pick that county? And yes, I did, because guess what? I'm Australian and I'm not great with geography, but I'm reasonable difference. And believe me, I could have picked 90210 as the postcode, but I didn't. All right, so we've got those types of targeting. We can also go to the state. So let's say, hey, we're already in California, so we can target state, and we can also target country as well. So now we've got the state, which is all, and we can target the nation level, right? Now, one other thing that we can do, right, is if we go back to our guys here, let's see if they've got an address. Let's pause. All right, let's say that you have an address, right, and you're thinking, I want to travel 10 miles around. I don't want to travel any further than 10 miles around my address. Perfect. I would increase that by 10 or 20%. So let's say 12, 13, 14, even 15 miles. Make it a little bit larger than you would prefer to. Just at the initial starting of your Google Ads campaign. The reason is you just need data in the early days. And if you're restrictive, it just makes it harder and slower and more expensive to get the data, and it doesn't make for a very good time. All right, now the last form of targeting is radius targeting, right? So what we can do here is, let's just say that we're in, let's have a look at San Jose, and we'll come into, let's say Brisbane, because hey, it's an Australian city, and we can select the pin. You got to select it up here. You select the pin. You got to select radius up here. And what we can do is, now we have 20 miles around this location. Now, if we click this section here, we can, let's say 15. Now, with the radius targeting, I recommend being about 20-30% larger than you want to. So you can target, hey, I like to service all of this area, right? And let's say it's only 10 miles. I recommend making it 13, 14, even 15 miles. The reason being is that it'll give you more data. It'll make it quicker. It'll make it cheaper. And that's just a lot more fun than making it more expensive and slower, right? So that's how you do the location targeting. Is there any benefits? Not really, right? Now, you can exclude people as well. Right, in order to exclude people, it's very, very simple as well. We can do it at the postcode level. So 90210, I knew we were going to get there. But so we can exclude, right? And it excludes, these people. And there's plenty of reasons why to exclude people or potential postcodes, right? So in some areas of the world where I work with people, there are some areas where, and forgive me if this is deemed as politically incorrect or offends anyone, but that is not my intention. There's people that are low socioeconomic status, right? So some people I work with are at the high end, and some people have too much money. Some people don't have enough, right? But you do not want to be serving your ads where people do not have the financial resources in order to pay you money. Another common reason that I exclude areas is that some people work in cities where there's dangerous parts of the city, right? And they don't want their employees, or they don't want to be going there themselves. So we exclude those areas, right? Because generally the two, I'm not going to get into it, the two can overlap, which is definitely going to be politically incorrect and probably bite me in the backside one day. But hey, that is the nature of human nature. Right, so moving through, and let's try not to get too politically correct for the rest of the video. Now, so we've got the location, albeit it was in depth. I think it was highly valuable. Languages, we don't have to touch this all too much. Whatever your ads are written in, whatever your landing page is written in, that's what your English, that's what your setting is. I only speak English, so hey, we're only going to stick with English. Now, audience segments. This is a tricky little thing that people kind of don't know what to do with. Now, the first thing is targeting an observation. Now, with observation, it means that you observe the audience once selected. Now, that's a good thing in some ways, right? Because it allows you to see subsets on how data gathers or groups people, right? Now, if we select targeting, it restricts our ads. So if I was to set up a search campaign like for this artificial grass company that Australian Outdoor Living, and I was to say that I only want people that are interested in home improvement and home and garden, right? If I select the targeting option, in order for my ads to show, my keywords have to trigger the search query, right? But then Google has to have placed that individual into one of these two groups, which is really restrictive. Now, there are cases to do this. If you're in a very expensive market, you know what keywords convert, you do not have a high budget, you can start this way. Start with a couple of the in-market audiences, etc., intent audiences, right? You can even create your own, a video for another day. And you can say, the people need to make this search query or these sets of search queries, but they also need to be in this group, right? So it's kind of like a Venn diagram. We're trying to get that intersection, that really sweet spot. That is one way to start. Not really recommended, but hey, you can do it. So I recommend sticking to observation, not because Google recommend it. Most of the recommendations are pretty average, but just because it makes a lot of sense. Now, with the broad match keywords, now I would suggest keeping them off, especially if you're starting one. Now, this is a pretty contentious kind of topic at the moment. Now, let's just try and rip through it and give you the really raw breakdown of it. If you're starting, leave it off, right? The reason being is that you want to be very specific with where your money is spent. This is capital allocation. Spend money to the keywords that are most likely going to make you money. Spend less money to the keywords that are most likely not going to make you money. Now, with that being said, if you have a well-seasoned campaign, you have a lot of negatives in your negative keyword list, you can move to broad, because the machine learning, and if you have conversion tracking set up, hopefully you do, will actually, well, I shouldn't say actually, can perform a lot better, right? It is a weird thing to talk about. There's a lot of subtle nuances, experiences, and it ultimately comes down to making a lot of mistakes, learning from them to know when to do it, when not to do it, right? But that's the lowdown. So let's leave it off at this moment. Now, automatically created assets. No. Google create very poor, scientifically shit assets. So no, we're going to leave this off, right? So we can create way better images, than Google can, because we just have human context, human skill, and all that kind of fun stuff. So definitely leave that off. Now, start ad rotation. Always leave it to optimize for best performing ads, because it is just ultimately the best setting. Start and end dates. Well, that's up to you. So I'm not really going to talk about that all too much. Ad schedule is a real interesting one, right? So if you're in those emergency services, kind of contracting, not a police officer or a fire person, right? Fireman. Anyway, fireman. Anyway. So with the ad schedule, if you're in the emergency contracting services, right, so like emergency roofing, plumbing, and HVAC and stuff like that, you can set your ads to run, let's say hypothetically 7 till 6, right? And that's because people, when they're in a situation where they need your services, it's kind of an emergency. So you can set the time to spend the money when that's most likely going to occur. Now, for all you other people that are more in the for lack of a better way, cosmetic kind of contracting services. And if you're in the gray area, like in between emergency and cosmetic, right? So like you're in bathrooms, kitchens, etc., right? You want to leave that on all day, in my opinion, because you don't care if the lead comes in at 2 o'clock in the morning. You just want the lead. Now, campaign URL options. Now, this is, in my opinion, an important one, helps with the tracking. Now, I've pasted in a tracking template, right? Now, I'm not going to go through the breakdown, right? Well, I'm going to really quickly. It's got the source, Google, right? It's got the medium, It's got the U team. What all it does is it adds some information to the clicks from your ads. So if you use a CRM, the CRM can pull in that information and then attribute that information to the contact, right? So we can say, Brandon Hamill is a lead. He came through this ad. He punched in this keyword, etc., etc. So it helps you to drill down and really narrow down about where exactly are your leads coming from and what exact keywords, what exact ads are actually reducing money, right? So this isn't, Google Ads should not be about leads now, it should be about money produced. So conversation for another day. Many conversations for many other days, it seems. Potentially videos for many other days. Right, so I just nipped back up to campaign URL. So that's pretty much all for this page. And I will paste this down in the YouTube video description so you can just copy and paste it in, and wham bam, thank you man, off you go. All right, now this is where we're going to get into some of that cool structure stuff. So we've got the first ad group, and we are going to rename this, and we're going to say artificial grass. Right now, if we look at the suggested keywords, this is where we'll see a lot of people go wrong. So some people will just smash the button and they'll just move on into creation of the ad group, right? And that is not what we want to do. The reason is that we have a couple of different themes, right? We've got artificial grass, artificial turf. I'm in the artificial grass industry with a couple of clients, right? Artificial grass and artificial turf are different types of keywords, and we want to treat them differently, split them up into different ad groups. Next, we have synthetic turf and synthetic grass. All of a sudden, now we've got 4 ad groups, right? Just between these ones, and these ones, right? And we've also got fake grass. Fake grass should be in its own ad group, right? So these are just general, right? So artificial grass price and artificial grass installation go in this ad group. Now, I'm not going to go through every single keyword here, but just for fun, and we're just going to keep this down to a 3 keyword ad group, right? And I didn't read all the rest of the keywords because that is not the purpose of this video, right? All these are themed in the same way. So we've got their stags, right? Single themed ad groups. So we've got all these are all very similar. They're all very, human context would suggest that they're going to bring in the same types of people. So we can put them in the same ad group. But when it comes down to synthetic grass, we want to have an ad that contains the word synthetic grass, and we talk about synthetic grass, and we send them to a landing page that has a headline and content about synthetic grass, right? Because that all makes a lot of sense. And Google likes it because quality scores go up, and there goes my Google phone assistant, right? So Google likes it because quality score goes up. That means that your cost per clicks get cheaper, your leads get cheaper. It's just far better to do it that way, right? Now, when we come down to ads, I have a couple of ad videos, how to write better ads. I'm not going to go through that in this video because this is going to be a long video. No matter how you watch it, even if you speed it up by 50%, it's still going to be a pretty long video, right? So I'm going to pause the video. I'm going to make some really quick ads that are not going to be intentionally all that good, but for the sake of the video, it's just going to speed them up. I recommend watching my other videos about how to write ads in order to create better ads. All right, so I've gone ahead and built some of the ads. Now, you can add display paths, and this will be appended to the end of your URLs here. So obviously here, the final URL, this is the URL in which you send traffic to, right? This is, I've skipped over this part, but this is really important. So with this landing page, we have, I'll grab the URL, which probably isn't shown for you. So, and we'd paste it here, right? So this is the URL in which you'd want to send traffic to. So this is where we'd start to differentiate. If we cast our minds back to the structure about, is this for pets? Is this for generic artificial grass, right? This is important. Ideally, you want to be sending people to the landing page that matches the keyword intent, right? So moving through, we've got phone calls. So to add phone numbers, we simply press the phone calls button. We select new call. Here we can change the country, and then we just add our phone number here. I've just been a little bit lazy with the blurring here, so I do apologize. But it's pretty rudimentary. I mean, you just put in the phone number in and you fill out this information. As we come down to advanced options, we can set the times in which we want our phone number to display, right? So again, if you're in the emergency kind of contracting services, this might be 7 till 7. It could be 9 till 5. It really depends about the operating hours in which you're going to answer the phone, right? So some people, the employees of the company might only work from, you say 9 to 5, but the company will accept phone calls from 7 in the morning till 7 in the evening. This is sort of pretty self-explanatory. But to add days, you can just add the days. Forgive the blurring here, and you can add a schedule, so you can add multiple days. So if this one would be you want Mondays and Fridays, and then you could just say, well, Saturdays and Sundays, etc., etc. Right? So pretty damn simple. So scrolling down to headlines, Google added some, and I think I added 1 or 2, and then we added some descriptions. Well, Google added majority, and I added 1. So I'm not going to touch upon the ad creation section this all too much, right? Just because I've got 2 videos specifically regarding writing better ads. Now, just to touch upon the ads, do not gloss over this section, right? There is a big difference between good ads and bad ads, and they should all be relevant to the keywords in which they're serving. So this has to be written specifically to the ad group, right? The reason being comes into quality score, cost per click, cost per lead, the amount of impressions that you get for your ads. There's a lot of reason why you want to spend a lot of time on your ads. And obviously the king is conversion rate. The higher conversion rate, the lower your cost per lead. Obviously lower cost per leads is a very desirable thing. And also you can get more higher quality or higher tier leads with better ads as well. So albeit they're only small in nature in terms of there's 30 characters for headlines, 90 characters for descriptions, doesn't seem like a lot of space, but they do have a disproportionate bearing upon the result in which your ads will produce. In relation to headlines, I do recommend trying to get towards 15, ideally 10 plus headlines. It does make a difference in terms of Google just being able to match the headline to the searcher and the search query. So that is important. Images, select the images that showcase your product and or services in the desirable fashion, right? So if you're artificial grass, show great backyards. Show the mechanisms of how your artificial grass is made. And this goes, you just have to, become a bit creative with the advice that I'm offering here. With kitchens, show great kitchens. Bathrooms, same thing. Roofs. It's pretty damn simple for what industry you're in. You probably know from what I'm talking about, but it's still important. Add images, obviously the logo. Site links are super cool. Now, when it comes to site links and using a dedicated landing page, this is a ninja tactic that not a lot of people know. So the problem is that we have this landing page, right? And that's okay. Now, if I wanted to create a site link, Google does create a couple. Now, to create site links, it's super simple, and there is one super secret ninja tactic that not a lot of people know. So we have the landing page, and I've got the URL in the copy and paste. And so we set site links. I've just got some prefabbed ones blurred out here. We click create. Right, so the problem is, right, with site links is, sorry, that's the text section. So we just want to put that in the URL section. So the problem with site link text is that we can have more than 4, but if we have 2, we can't have 2 of the same URLs, right? Which is a bit of a problem because generally speaking, you want to send people to the same landing page, right? So let's say we had pricing, and that pricing information is on our core kind of hero landing page. What we would do is we would just come to the end of the URL. We would add the dash here, better known as the hashtag, right? And what we could do is just put pricing here. And this creates a different URL, but we can still send them to the same landing page, right? Super cool, right? So you could have one for pricing, if you're, let's say like gaff roofing, you could have one for gaff roofing. Kitchens, you could have one for before and afters, right? And it's super simple stuff. So you just have you could just have before, you could have before and after, and boom, you got a new URL in the eyes of Google. But you're still sending them to the desired landing page that you want without duplicating the landing page and the URLs. And it's just a really, really quick fire way. Right, so we've got that done. Perfect. Now, call out. So we click the call outs, we come to new call out, and we've got up to 25 characters. Call outs are just really like small descriptions about any additional information that you want to include. It can be like free shipping, 24/7, free quotes, free 3D models, so on and so forth. It's pretty simple, but because they take up more real estate, you want to have them because the more real estate you take up with your Google ads, the better your click-through rate is. The better your click-through rate is, the lower your cost per click, and we know how that translates into tons and tons of benefits for you. So we've got more asset types down here. We've got promotions. If you're running any kind of promotions, super cool. If you have like a start from price with your service, structured snippets are very, very similar to call outs, right? So you can highlight any kind of particular nature or aspect of your service. Lead forms are super cool as well. I recommend building lead forms out. So the section here is the headline. So you name the headline. So like free solar quote, get a free quote for your free artificial grass quote, so on and so forth. You've got the business name, you've got the description. So if they fill in the form, what do they get? Think of this as a transaction, right? The person is giving you their details, aka the monetary value. What are they going to get in return, right? Everything has some form of transactional nature to it, right? And this is no different. If I give you my details, what am I going to get in return? Are you a sleazy salesman, or am I going to get some benefit, right? So add a brief description. You can add like and also what name do you, what information do you want? And there's all options here. So it doesn't really matter what you pick here. But I used to say in my old videos, less is more, but now it's kind of like more is more. So the reason why I say that is less is easy to fill, so they're generally going to be low quality leads. If you had more form fields, it's a higher barrier to entry in order to fill the form out. Those tend to be better quality leads, in my opinion. So generally speaking, like you got name, phone number, email, town, suburb, or postcode. People kind of like rotate between which one they want. I don't really have a preference. Any kind of qualification questions you can ask, right? These are super important. These are understated, right? But the reason why they're important is because you want something that's easy but takes a little bit of thought, right? Because again, this raises the bar in terms of quality. So for instance, like qualification questions, what type of flooring are you after? Laminate, tiles, etc. How many rooms? Is it 1 room, 2 rooms, 10 rooms, etc.? If you're looking to get paving done, is it a driveway, patio, sidewalk? Do you want brick, concrete, paver, stone? There's tons of pre-qualification questions that you can include. Something that is simple, takes a little bit of thought. You do not want any math-related questions, things about size, like how many square foot is something, how many square meters is something, things like that. Too complicated, it becomes a barrier because people don't want to be embarrassed if they don't know the answer. People are worried about accuracy. People don't know what a square foot is, and it's just not a good idea. So, and then you just fill out the rest of the information. So you can add a couple of questions. I recommend 1 to 3, right? And then privacy policy, add a background image. The background image can be social proof, credibility based, right? Or it could be just a great after image. So the finished product of a backyard, a finished product of a kitchen, bathroom, new roof, so on and so forth. It could be before and after, right? Then you've got like create the form submission message, if I can say that correctly. Again, this is just getting the person to understand what happens next. Now, I'll get into this really, really quickly. My preferred method is to have this sent to my clients in terms of a text message and email. They ring straight away. If they can't ring straight away, I have a follow-up text message to go out to the prospect immediately, right? Hey, Bren, just got your details about your artificial grass project. Introduce yourself. Obviously, it's Bren from Bren's Artificial Lawn. Hey, Bren, it's Bren from, this is getting convoluted, but you get the idea. And you're just telling them what's going to happen in relation to their inquiry. And you can just add that information in here, super simple, right? And then you can have a call to action. If you want them to book into a calendar, this is where you would do that. And I would also do it through the SMS, right? And then you've got a couple of different options down here, right? So I definitely go for more qualified. And here is where you get into the lead delivery option. I generally always tie it into the client CRM. not something I'm going to cover in this video. Anyway, that covers the forms. Super cool. Apps, don't really deal with apps, but if you've got one, fill it in there. The tracking form doesn't have to be filled in here, but that tracking template code, I would always add that at the account level, right? So I've added it at the campaign level, which will override anything lower than the campaign. So it'll be set at the ad group, keyword level, so an ad level, so on and so forth. So we don't have to set it here, and we should be able to click next unless, nope, we're good to go. So the daily budget. Budgets are always a really interesting topic. Now, the rough rule of thumb that I use is that if you live in a big metropolitan area, ideally you want to be spending somewhere between $2,000 and $3,000 per month per service, right? So if you're a contractor and you do window siding roofing, ideally if you're in a moderate to larger metropolitan area, $2,000 to $3,000 to get started, right? If you're in a smaller rural kind of town, maybe you can do somewhere between $1,000 to $2,500 per month. There's a lot of context and subtle nuance that goes into budgets, right? It's not, I'm trying to give blanket values because everyone wants to know how long a piece of string is, but obviously a piece of string is just a piece of string, right? And budgets are the same. It's really hard to say. So like, new client wants to start with $30,000 per month, that's fine. New client wants to start with $3,000 per month for one service, that's fine too, right? And I've had people that have started with 6-figure budgets per month. That's okay too. It doesn't really matter. But small budgets are very difficult to manage because of small data. So just keep that in mind. So we're just going to run with the budget of, let's say 72 for no good reason other than it's at the top. All right, next we come to this review page. Now I have to confirm, because the way that I've got the security set up, because there's so many accounts, I just have got to confirm this. I'm going to pause, confirm this, and then come back to the video. But any errors that you have will come up here, and you can review all your information on this page. All right, so now we have everything ready. I've confirmed, that this is a legitimate kind of campaign, but it's not. We would smash the publish button. Now, I can't publish because I haven't got any billing information associated with this account because this isn't a real account. So with that said, I'm going to pause and then come back. All right, so what we have here is our finished campaign. So we can see it here. And we've got our other campaign, which was a dummy campaign, right? So what we would do now is we would build new ad groups, so artificial grass for pets. And we would have like one for fake grass, one for synthetic grass, one for artificial turf, so on and so forth. Right, now, what we would do from now is over the next couple of days, we'd go through management. Now, I'm not going to go through the management because this video is probably going to be somewhere about 40 to 50 minutes. What I will do though, is if you want a video about the first week or two in terms of management, I can make a video about that, but you have to drop a comment in the comment section below and like and subscribe, right? The next thing is, if you want to make a lot of money with Google Ads, you can work with me. You can head over to my website at brandonhamill.com. Once you're here, you can just scroll down, smash this button here, select whether you're an agency person or a contractor. I mentor a ton of agency people, something that I never thought I was going to do, but I've spoken to hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of agency people. Unfortunately, there is a fee for the agency people. I do apologize for that, but I was speaking to like 10 plus per week at one stage. Albeit I do love the conversations, it was just getting a little bit too much in terms of time. But if you're in the construction or contracting space, hey, I'm happy to chat to you guys all day and every day. You do not have to want to work with me in order to speak to me though. So with that being said, if you have any questions about the build, if something didn't quite make sense, I can even remake the video because I understand that this is a little bit strange for some people when you first tackle it. It was for me 16 or 17 years ago. With that being said, I am going to try my best to make videos on a more regular basis. As I said, being introverted is not the right personality trait to do these YouTube videos. So it can be a little bit difficult to kind of like get the willpower in order to want to do them. But I do appreciate everyone that leaves me a comment and says, thank you, and tells me their story about how much that these videos have helped. So if you want a free conversation, come to my website. At the very least, I'd love it if you can smash that subscribe and like button. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.